Law Talk with Nick Maruchak, thanks to MKI Legal, your trusted employment and family lawyers.
I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won.
Yeah, welcome back. And Nick Maruchak from MKI Legal's in the studio. Good morning to you, Nick.
Good morning, Gary. How was your break?
It got off to a shaky start, mate. I'm not sure if I needed a lawyer at the time, but I certainly needed something to calm me down when, as we'd gone through departure and everything, my wife lost her passport, so I couldn't get on the aeroplane.
Did you manage to find a backup flight? Did they look after you?
The next day, she got on a plane to meet me. I went on that flight because we were worried about losing all our money. So I went on it, and then she had a backup passport, a British one, which was unable to get her through. But it was a fair rigmarole, let me tell you. When you lose your passport and you want to leave the country and come back, it is a fair old rigmarole. So that kind of tainted the holiday a little bit, Nick.
You've got to make sure your passport's also...
Don't lose your passport.
Don't lose it. And also make sure there's no tears in it and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know. We talked about
Because I went swimming once with a passport, and I was lucky to get back into Australia. They're like, okay, we'll let you in, but get a new passport. So,
it goes to show, mate, the passport, you don't realise how precious it is until you're in a situation where you're 40 minutes from boarding a flight and you don't have one.
Oh, yeah.
Anyhow, 133 882. Hopefully this doesn't link to what I just talked about and my wife's passport going missing and has not been found, I should point out. Tracy's on the line. What would you like to talk about, Tracy?
Oh, sorry. Hi. I'm just making a query about identity theft and how I can find out whether or not a certain person has actually attempted to steal my identity and what I can do about it, and is it a criminal offence? Now, this person, I believe, has used my email address and signed me up on a dating website and put up a profile of me which was half true and half not true, and put up a photo of me that came off my Facebook page.
Bizarre.
Which she used to have access to, but I've blocked her on that.
How bizarre. And how did you find out?
Very good. Well, I get regular emails of all these men that want to meet me.
Okay. Do you know why this person is doing this to you?
Well, this have you heard of the hell hath
no fury, like a woman scorned?
Yeah, like a woman scorned. This woman was rejected by my husband, and we were very good friends. And I'm the one that's copying all the abuse. And there is no one else that would do anything like this that I can imagine. So,
Jeepers. I mean, obviously, there's something up here, Nick, isn't there? I mean, it's got a sort of a feel of a criminal matter. And have you gone to the police at all?
No, I haven't yet. That's what I don't want to bother them if they say, look, there's nothing we can do, it's too minor for me. But, do I have some recourse here? Because, then I wonder about, how much more identity can they take and use. They already, I had to block them from my Instagram because I put a post up, a happy anniversary post to my husband, and this person replied and put a lie on there so that all of my friends and family could see. And it was a lie. And so I had to take her off that. But then she kept coming back on as an unknown, someone else, until I got my daughter to put some sort of block on so that it was only a private, so that no one...
Holy. What a situation. Nick, what do you reckon?
Wow,
come on, let's help this lady.
This is full of interesting things going on here. So there's a number of things we can do, Tracy. First is this dating site, report the profile to get it removed and taken down so it doesn't cause you any more nuisance. So try that.
I have unsubscribed from it, but I've kept a couple of emails just for if I ever need proof.
Is the profile gone?
No. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's right. So maybe.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, it might be still up there. And so that's one thing. So do that.
Okay.
The other thing is when it comes to identity theft, you really want to be careful to make sure no one is going further and applying for loans or doing anything from a financial perspective. So there are there are credit agencies online. There are credit services you can subscribe to. And whenever someone makes a loan application using your identity, you are notified. And you can also download a credit report as well. I think a lot of these services give you a free one once a year. So you download that credit report and you have a look. Has this person applied for any loans, any short-term payday loans or anything like that using your name? So that's another thing because, that could give you... the last thing you want to do is she applies for a loan and then the bank comes knocking and trying to get the money from you. And then as far as criminal goes, now I'm not a criminal lawyer, but I believe that there is this offence called if you impersonate a person with intent to defraud, right, whether that person is living or dead, that can be considered a criminal offence. So she's definitely impersonating you, right? And if the police thinks that there's some sort of intention to defraud, right, so that potentially could be a criminal offence. And so I would speak to the police. Don't worry about bothering them. That's the police's job.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can. Yeah, I think so. And I think you'd be entitled to go down to a police station, at least lodge what you see as a complaint, and hopefully you get an officer there that can sort of guide you through it. Now, if you get an incident report at least attached to your name and what you say that your concerns are, then that's there on file for anything else that eventuates. Look, I mean, Nick, is this reached the sort of threshold of restraining order? I mean, in terms of what this person's doing, Tracy, I mean, it's pretty upsetting for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is, because we also live in the same building, and she has in her possession some of my own artwork that I loaned her when I did some renovations for her, and loaned her these things until she was able to get her own stuff, and she refuses to give them back and refuses to even read our emails now, and then really bizarre, and we've got all this on photographic evidence as well from our concierges at different times of the night, late times of the night, she rings our doorbell, which is quite childish, but annoying.
But it's a restraint.
Yeah,
surely.
I think so. Misconduct restraining order here, Gary. That's a great point. I really appreciate you giving me help on this, because misconduct restraining order is basically where if someone behaves in a manner that could be can reasonably be expected to be intimidating or offensive to a person, then that would be grounds to get one here. So she's ringing your doorbell, she's impersonating you online, she's harassing you with these fake profiles that are causing all these suitors to approach you online. So this is nuisance, this is offensive, intimidating. So the restraining order process, you go to the magistrate's court, you get in front of a justice of the peace, you put forward your case, and then if then she has a choice whether she defends it or not, and then it goes to a hearing, and then if you get up on it, then the court will put restrictions on what she can't do. So put restrictions: she can't go near your house.
Yeah, I mean, it might be difficult if you're in the same complex, but nevertheless, it can be done.
That can be done. They can definitely put they take that into account, and definitely put restrictions in terms of contacting you, speaking to you, ringing your doorbell, stuff like that. So it's definitely getting quite. Yeah, it's quite concerning.
Tracy, I think, I mean, I just go on my sort of life experience, I suppose. Sometimes I've got no legal experience whatsoever, but my life experience tells me you need to nip this in the bud.
Yeah.
She needs to understand in no circumstances that she is in danger of crossing the line to the point where she could be charged with matters, I think. So I would get onto it.
Okay.
I'd go to the police station start and talk to them and say, look, this is my situation. Can I file an incident report?
Yeah.
Okay.
I reckon you got to do it. I couldn't stand living in that sort of circumstance.
Because these kind of things start like this, and then you don't know where they end up. They could end up
exactly. And I don't want it to escalate.
No.
So, and I don't want to be bringing criminal charges. I would prefer it to just be if I could just give her a letter and say, this will be my next move, and hopefully, she'll just think, well, I've done enough. I'll back off. And
God, I hope so.
Yeah.
Right, Tracy, thanks for bringing that to our attention. A very disturbing story. Thanks, Nick, for going through it with us.
Yeah.
133882. We're going to take a break after that, but plenty of time for your calls. If you'd like some legal advice, might not be around that kind of scenario, but something that's going on in your life you'd like some advice around, give us a bell. 14 minutes to 11. It's 10 to 11. Nick Maruchak from MKI Legal in the studio to help you with some advice you might need. Now, this next person we're calling Belinda is on the line. It's a situation with her employer. It doesn't sound like a good one. Can you take us through it, please, Belinda?
Hi. I'm a sales merchandiser on the road, and I've been doing it for 40 years. And we get paid a kilometre allowance, which we just enter into the app that we use.
Mm-hmm.
My employer now wants me to take a photo of my odometer at the beginning of the day and a photo at the end of the day. And I think it's a breach of privacy. I don't know anyone else in this position. And I've had a look around online and I just can't find anything. We used to just enter our odometer on our phone app and then closing odometer, and it would, then you put your total, which is the difference of both.
Are you using a company car or is this your personal car?
No, my car, and I'm employed on a casual basis.
Okay. So there's a few things. So there's something that an employer has. They have this general power of giving a reasonable direction to an employee, right? So when it's basically this power that an employer says, I'm making you do something. And this applies if the direction is lawful and it's reasonable. So I think that if they're telling you to take a photo of the odometer, it would likely fall in the reasonable category. I think they'll be allowed to do that. I'm more confident they would be allowed to do that if it's during work hours, right? So it sounds to me like it's a reasonable request. And as long as you're taking the odometer at the start of your shift and the end of your shift, so that covers work hours, that would probably stand up in court. If they try to go outside of work time, then that would probably be a problem. Do you think that, I'm just wondering what your concerns are about the privacy side of things. Do you think the odometer would reveal maybe...
It's more that, I just feel like it's a breach of my privacy. I work for other companies doing the same job and they don't ask for it.
Do you feel like they don't trust you or something?
Correct.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to these workplace surveillance or workplace monitoring, a lot of companies have these surveillance policies, right, where they say we can surveil you, we can monitor your emails, we can monitor your GPS location, you consent to that, right? So that also gives companies a lot of rights to follow you during work time and monitor you. And that gets around those laws, those monitor your emails, we can monitor your GPS location, you consent to that, right? So that also gives companies a lot of rights to follow you during work time and monitor you. And that gets around those laws, those privacy laws and those Surveillance Devices Act laws, which say you can't record someone and you can't follow them. So I think if it's during their work time on your shift, they're probably allowed to do it. But I would, because it sounds like this company, normally a company, right, would provide you a car, they would put the GPS on the car and they would follow the GPS.
Care of themselves.
Yeah, yep. Right. But it sounds like this company is cutting corners, making the employee provide their own vehicle. And they have to also, they should also be paying you for the vehicle as well, right, for the fuel usage. Are you getting paid for the fuel usage?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
So are you saying that I should get a surveillance policy off them? They give us no policies at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a look at that surveillance policy they have. That would be pretty common for a company to have that.
What if they don't?
Well, if they don't, then they can't monitor you without your consent, And then it comes down to this general power that employers have of giving you this reasonable direction, right? And that's like this catch-all provision that employer says, I can make you do anything as long as it's reasonable. And making them take forcing them to take you a photo at the start of the shift, end of the shift, I'd probably say will stand up in court as reasonable. But ask for the policy. You definitely have the right to complain and you're definitely an employee, right? Belinda, you're not a contractor or anything? Okay. So you have the right. You have the right to complain, right? So you can say, I'm not happy with this. And then that complaint that you make is actually protected at law under the general protections provisions, right? So it's a complaint about your employment and they can't retaliate against you. So I reckon get the discussion going. Yeah. Employees have the right to raise grievances and that you can't get fired for that.
Yep.
So I would probably, I feel like you're unhappy about it and I would ask a few more questions.
Fair enough.
And start the discussion going.
I don't have long, but have you worked for them for a long time or not?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
6 years.
Oh,
I've
6
been
years.
doing merchandising for 35.
Yeah.
Right.
And it can't interfere with stuff about your private life or other jobs, okay? So as soon as that direction starts to interfere with your personal life or other jobs, that's probably when it goes a bit too far, right? So I would have that discussion and see if you can meet somewhere in the middle with them and see if they would be a bit more compromising.
All right. Okay, Belinda, good luck with it. Appreciate your call. Appreciate you being here, Nick Maruchak. Sorry, folks, but we have run out of time, but there's always a next Thursday. Thanks for coming in, Nick.
Thank you so much, Gary.
It's 4 minutes to 11 right now.